welcome to what hopefully is a seamlessly introduced Scottish Watches Live, but we will never know until we watch this in the replay. So thank you for tuning in. We have a special guest with us this week who you may already have spotted. He's the one wearing the hat. Oh, but I do notice that he joins us in the Sean Appreciation Society for all of those that have listened to this morning's podcast with a suitable ceiling fan in the road. Although it has to be said, if you're watching this on YouTube, you don't have the same view that I've got. In my view, Sean is on top of Cole, so it looks like a kind of whole airplane thing. On the view you're seeing on YouTube, you're not actually on top of each other, so it's not quite the same effect, but there we go. Anyway, let's crack on and let's do some introductions. So according to my screen, in fact, no, actually, let's let the guest introduce himself first. So Cole, say hello, say who you are, and tell us what you're wearing on the wrist or otherwise.
All right, sure. Hey, I'm Cole. I am an editor at Hodinkee, and I'm wearing the new Willard, the SPB 153. So this is the green one. It's on the strap, and yeah, I think it's the best Seiko release of the year so far. So enjoying wearing it.
Very nice. Next up, then we will take Ralph. Where are you, and what are you wearing?
Okay, I'm coming from Dubai at the moment, and I'm wearing the Hodinkee System 51 to honor Cole. You swatch today.
Okie doke. And then Philogius, what have you got? Where are you?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm from Singapore. I'm wearing the Monta Triumph. Yeah.
Appropriate for the day. Good stuff. And then Sean.
Hi everyone, it's Sean from Washington, D.C. I should have been wearing my Hodinkee Summer Breeze swatch, but I've got the Plain Ocean on today instead.
Very good, very good. And then Sam, USA Sam. Where are you? Which is obviously the USA. There we go.
Hey guys, I'm Sam. You could find me on Instagram at Sam and Her Watchbox. And today I'm wearing my yellow Doxa Sub 200.
Very nice, very nice. And then Sam number 2, who's actually Sam number 1 because she was the first Sam on. Where are you?
Get confusing.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sam, time on our hands, coming from the UK, and I'm wearing the Snoopy Speedmaster that I stole from a very generous Red Bar member.
Yes, you stole from David, who has sent me a message just wanting me to check in that you still have it and that you've not actually sold it.
At the moment.
So that's fine.
I think I've got about another week or so with it. And then
is that right? Very good, very good. And then Derek.
I'm Derek in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm wearing the CWC Malore today.
Very good. And finally, but obviously not least, Sophie.
Hey guys, I'm Sophie Rindler, Instagram Sophie Rindler, and I'm wearing a Talker D-Day watch today.
Very good. Good stuff. Now, I believe some of you also have some other things with you in the room that you felt it was appropriate just to show Cole. We know that recently he has been having some PTSD episodes, so we only want to make this very brief. But if all your special items that you brought with you today, you could just show Cole. Cole will assess as to which he thinks is the best. So on the count of 3, 2, 1, Cole. Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
We've all brought some travel clocks with us. Actually, the some of them are pretty decent. I don't think I'd pay $6,000 for any of them, I have to say. Although the wee robot that
Derek, I love yours.
So
there's some great ones in here.
Who has the best travel clock?
I think Derek's is fantastic. Honestly, everyone. Ralph's is sweet too.
I like Sophie's.
Elogius. Oh, and yeah, the Citizen Quartz Classic. I think everyone really is really brings
push the boy out. Right, we will now just, because he's running a bit late, we're going to let Gigi in the room, so we'll let him in the room. So, Cole, let's begin with what you have been up to. As I understand it, you have been touring America, trying to write America's next great novel, inspired by William Faulkner. But all I've seen on your Instagram is pictures of you with fish and you dead cars. So what has any of this got to do with you writing the next great American novel?
Well, I never set out to write the next great American novel. However, who knows, that might become of this. Yeah, I think relevant to watches, well, obviously, you know, COVID was a thing here, of course, as it is everywhere in the world. And I just figured you're better off going into the woods and being by yourself than you are hanging around New York metropolitan area. So I took off in my truck and figured I would kind of snake down the East Coast and hang out in national parks and also test this marathon. So that was kind of the impetus of this whole thing, was to do like an extended week on the wrist, more like a month on the wrist, and actually and never take it off, you know, kind of just literally whatever comes my way, which doing the whole living out of the truck thing, a lot of weird stuff happens. So that was the idea. Yeah.
So while you were being an outdoors woodsman, hiding in your truck or sleeping in the back seat or whatever, and testing this marathon, how often did you actually wash in order to be able to test its water resistance?
So I tried to follow the rule of staying in a motel 1 every 3 nights. So I took a shower with the watch on, so there's some water resistance testing. But I also took it out in the Gulf of Mexico quite a bit, diving and fishing and all that stuff. So and something that's interesting that I found that I think a lot of folks don't talk about is not necessarily the water resistance of a watch, but how well you can rinse the saltwater debris off of the watch. Because something I found with the marathon is that the little gap between the case and the bezel, when salt water dries and salt forms, that's hard to get out. Where another watch I was testing, this Seiko that's on my wrist, that gap is closed. So the salt doesn't get in there. So that's one thing that folks don't ever talk about, that after having done this for a little while now, I think the rinsing procedure is actually really important.
Obviously, rinsing and repeating is vital,
It
as
is
I know
totally.
from my hair care regime. As does Ricky. Ricky, incidentally, is not on the show today, and neither is Dave, because they're both hiding out in Switzerland somewhere, as I understand it. Gigi has now joined us. Hello, Gigi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I believe you've been banned
Great.
from going to Switzerland.
Well, I've been banned, but I think so's Ricky. So.
Oh, is that right? Has he not made it?
No, and Dave either. So.
All right, I haven't spoken to him today, so we will find out.
Unfortunately, the UK issued a travel kind of ban on Switzerland as well yesterday evening. So we were all set up and we got completely, you know, screwed at the end. So I was ready to leave this morning.
Well,
so wait, they did not accept you into Switzerland?
No, I have no problems. Italy is not as doing this badly, but England is now needs a 2-week quarantine.
Scotland. Scotland.
The UK.
It's not one country.
The UK. Sorry, boom. The UK. People coming back from Switzerland from the UK have to quarantine, self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I don't think Ricky was too hot on that. So
no. Good stuff. Okay, doke. So Cole, while you've been on your tour, you have still been a busy boy, because a couple of really great articles have popped up. So I thought maybe we should just have a quick run through a couple of these before we get on to matters of new releases. I was fascinated by this, which is an F-16 pilot who does displays. The UK equivalent is the Red Arrows, and that they are still using mechanical stopwatches in order to do their routines. This is is it Michelle Curran?
Curran, however.
Curran.
Yeah.
So tell us exactly what save us reading, because
okay,
the video show to make us read an article.
Sure.
What do they actually use it for?
So basically, they use it for opposing passes. So there's 6 Thunderbirds total. 4 of them will fly in a diamond formation, and 2 of them will branch off. So those 2 pilots are called the opposing and lead solos, and they will actually cross each other, like in this picture. That's the knife edge pass. So in order to sync up so that they cross exactly at show center, so that the most amount of people can actually see them cross each other at that point, they use stopwatches at hack points, which are predetermined points around the area that when both of them branch off, they'll come around, hack here, and then it has to be 30 seconds until they pass. And they use this mechanical stopwatch for that. Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about this is, it's a stopwatch that can pull 9Gs. So as we know, like in any free sprung balanced assembly, so forth, that's kind of crazy to think that they're pulling 9Gs during these maneuvers, not during the solo passes when the stopwatch is activated. However, during the whole show, they're pulling 9Gs multiple times. And these stopwatches are mechanical and they make it through that, which is kind of crazy to think. And they're also standard issue. So it's not like there's a digital clock inside the F-16. It's actually a modification that the Thunderbirds make. So that's kind of crazy. And that was really the magic of the story, is in that there's this anachronistic stopwatch in this, crazy fighter jet, F-16. So that's very interesting. So I got on a Zoom with Major Coran, and I actually went last weekend to go see the performance that she talked about, which was in Ocean City, Maryland. And it was every bit as cool. I mean, I've seen them dozens of times growing up, but it was very cool to see the passes and know, okay, this is when they're hacking. This is when they're adjusting their speed so that they cross show center at the same time. And yeah, so that's that story.
So go on then. How desperate were you for just to go? Echo, one of these planes it's a two-seater. Just pop in.
The D, yeah, the F-16D. So obviously that would be a dream. That would be an absolute dream to fly in an F-16, but I think I'm pretty far off from that. But you never know. I mean, they do media flights and so forth. I doubt with COVID it's a huge thing, given the cockpit environment. However, if you're hooked up to oxygen, then what does it matter anyway, right? You have your own unique atmosphere right here. So we'll see.
F-16 with fitted ventilator just in case of emergencies.
Well, yeah, I mean,
very, very cool story.
Yeah.
Very cool indeed. Anyone got any particular questions for Paul? Any other big airplane buffs in the chat or on the video? Any of you guys see?
I think I read that the Blue Angels use this. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest.
I thought they have R2D2.
That's only in the Area 51 shows for R2.
That would be cool.
And then I've seen your review that I'm particularly interested in, mainly because of how expensive it is in relation to what. You've obviously had hands on with this to try and tell us what you think of it in terms of a value proposition. Is this, which you've reviewed recently? This is Citizen Wave GPS. Now, this titanium strap looks absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Did you get to play with this for a wee while?
Yep. Yeah. So with this, you wear it either for a day, a few days at a time. This one, it is as awesome as it looks. I wouldn't think of it as a value proposition, only because it is sort of the halo watch in this range. It's kind of Citizen putting their best tech into something and using, this is all titanium. So the bracelet's titanium, the case is actually multiple pieces, so it comes together. So you can see here, if you look, this middle section, the case actually comes together like this in titanium, encapsulates the whole thing. And Citizen uses, so here's what I would love to write something longer on, but this wasn't quite the time. But this titanium will be used in the Hokuto R lunar lander. So the rover and the lander will use this titanium. So the story goes that a long time ago, not a long time ago, like 2007 or 8 or something like that, or maybe even a little more recently, I'm not sure exactly when, Google put out a bid, for folks to apply for money and backing in this lunar mission. And Citizen actually put down some money and helped out this project called Hokuto. And that was very, very much like, I don't know, SpaceX or something here, but in its infancy. So it's a Japanese research team called Hokuto that wanted to build this lander. Citizen backed them. Then obviously they do more and more research, so forth. And later, recently, Citizen actually gave them the technology behind their titanium, which is called super titanium. I mean, it's, super titanium, but yeah, very, very much so. But they actually gave that technology to this research group that they backed. So that's very cool, just to see how, the way I see it, watches are helping something far beyond, maybe much more important than just watches, right? So they developed the super titanium for this watch and other watches too. They have different levels of titanium. And now it's finding its way into a lunar rover, which is just kind of interesting. I think that's really the key with this watch. Wearing it, yeah, it's cool, but it's for a very niche audience, you know.
And does it weigh absolutely nothing in comparison to its heft and its bulk?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like any titanium watch, even though there are grades of titanium, of course, but this one specifically, since it has a titanium bracelet, you would think it would weigh a little bit more and so forth. It doesn't. It wears like, titanium almost wears weight-wise like ceramic. It's, you know, it disappears.
Wow, this is
And it
really
articulates really well. That's the cool thing about it. The bracelet really does articulate well. And I'm not really, you know, traditionally a like Garmin, G-Shock, Citizens, and like the Seiko Arnie. I can't even like really get into those personally, naturally. They're cool from a ideological standpoint to me, but this watch, I felt like knowing that you have something that has a link to the lunar rover, I think that is super compelling to me.
yeah. What is the
This is
price
cute.
of it?
I think it's $5,000, which, yeah, that's a lot. But then again, I mean, watches across the board, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but watches across the board are getting kind of expensive, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yes. Yes, it's not getting any
Even
cheaper.
G-Shocks are getting prohibitively expensive now
Yeah.
too. So,
$17,000. I mean, come on.
oh,
Has
geez.
anybody tried one of the Mr. G's that are the kind of $3,000-$4,000 types? Anyway, I've never even seen one.
Can you get them in
What do you
boutiques? I'm not sure you can even get them in boutiques.
They're right. Just very rare things coming. I'm not even sure that Dave's got one. Although it
You must
should
have.
be. Yeah, exactly. So, and then finally, just on the Cole Roadshow, this has actually just come out today, so I don't know a great deal about it other than it looks pretty special. And this is a Swatch Etienne Roma Synergy. Not quite sure what the Synergy refers to by Kari Voutilainen.
My guess is the synergy between the two, well, kind of the manufacturer of Schwarz Etienne and then Dial and so forth from Kari coming together and creating some synergy, you know?
and how much of Kari is involved in the movement? How much are Swatch Etienne involved in the case and the rest of the structure? Do we know?
Kari is mainly involved in the guilloche that's applied to both sides of the watch, and the dial, of course. Yeah. Movement is not. Movement is all Schwarz Etienne. Case is Schwarz Etienne. The Roma is a model in their line already, so the Roma exists now. This is Kari's treatment to the Roma.
So this should be viewed as being a Schwarz Etienne watch.
Correct.
With Kari Voutilainen as a collaborator, rather
celebrity
than Kari
guest.
as a celebrity guest, much like you are today on.
No.
Though you don't get to go away with a really expensive watch. It's a micro rotor, which is always cool. You can't beat a good micro rotor.
Yeah, and Schwarz Etienne is kind of, that's their thing, micro rotors. So that's why it's interesting as well.
And Schwarz Etienne is doing amazing work now, not just for themselves, but also for many other brands. And
Ming.
it is, yeah, Ming, but I think I saw that they were doing it for a couple other brands that I just read about. I can't remember which one. But it's just impressive how this this brand that nobody knew literally like 5 years ago. I discovered this brand in 2015. So it was almost at like the rebirth of the brand. I think it was taken over by the new owner. And I remember at that time they were doing this massive box with watches that represented each planet of the solar system. And each one of them was made with either a stone dial that was representing the planet or something, a color that were representing the planet. It was like this massive case. It was absolutely gorgeous. And they were so creative, but nobody gave them the time of day. It took them a while to kind of get out of the newcomer type of brand. And then they started working with these other companies and these other brands and really building their calibers and becoming a true horological reference when it comes to mechanics. And I'm really impressed with the way this brand evolved in the last 5 years. And there's so cool too. Like the whole team is so nice. It's very easy to work with. So I love to see that. And now they're collaborating with Carrie. It's awesome. Like they're really going up there.
And are they based, are they from the same area? How would they know each other just because people know each other in these kind of industries? Or
It's a small world.
Back between these companies. I have the one you're talking about, Sophie, just here. I think this is what you're referring to. This is from World Tempest. This is their
There it is.
Nice.
This is all the planets. Which probably
It was
brings
such a cool.
Yeah.
And they use complication. You can see they use different complications where the planets were rotating around the dial. It was brilliant. Difficult to wear, because it was, first of all, it was expensive, of course. I mean, justifyingly so. But like it says in French, une planète pour chaque jour means a planet for each day. So it was 7 watches. So I guess I got it a little wrong. I thought it was all the planets, but it's actually each day of the week was represented by its own planet.
I knew there was a reason we had you on this show, so as you could. That's good. That's good.
Well, it's so daring, though. Imagine a brand that nobody knows that goes into the production and the development of something like this. This is just, it's daring. It's bold. I thought these people were either going to crash under the weight of the financial burden, but they got lucky that they had either an investor or one of the owners of the brand has money and managed to actually pump it into the development, and they succeeded. And I think it's a very it's a great accomplishment, and it's a brand that we should reach out to and have them on a podcast.
Okay. Well, you can be in charge. You're not officially the booking agent. Away you go. This is actually a better shot of them from Watchinista, of the watches. And there's a story, this is the original story from Watchinista on Swatch Etienne, legend rising from the ashes. So there you go. So talking about things rising from the ashes, and now we'll move on to a bit more general chat. This is from Fratello. Let's see if I can get rid of all their pop-downs. I was never a Street Fighter. I was what was the other game called?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
I was more a Mortal Kombat type. Street Fighter was like the Betamax versus VHS. But these are pretty cool. And this is that. So Seiko 5 seems to be becoming the platform for Seiko, rather than letting the modding community doing stuff. They're just doing it themselves. So who has an opinion on this little lot?
I think they're great, actually. I love the JoJo series they made just for Japan. And actually, I was surprised to see them do something for the globally, because usually that stuff is like Japan only. So I think they're, I'm not sure if they're onto something. I don't know how much they're going to sell around the world. How many Street Fighter nerds are there? Like under 20. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at my age, maybe, okay, but and they're actually, well, they're cheap for us, maybe, because you're thinking, okay, what is it, like $300, $400, $500, dollars? That's not a big amount to spend. But for somebody who's like, into video games and maybe young and may not have a lot of money, that may be what, $500 for a watch? No way. But that's the kind of feedback I'm getting from my younger friends when I showed them the JoJo series. I said, "Oh, they're just like $600," and they said, "$600 for a watch?" So I said, "Okay, that's it. Bye bye."
Hey, that's the price of the Apple Watch, ish.
Yeah, I know, but an Apple Watch has got a lot of tech in it. This is just like, this got a lot of design in it, I suppose, but not much tech. But there's the young generations for you anyway.
But convince a teenager, instead of buying the PlayStation 5, buy a Seiko 5.
Yeah, exactly.
With that.
That's not happening. Like, no way.
I think these are probably like much more for older folks with nostalgia than for modern video game.
Could be.
Kids.
So are any of you feeling nostalgic enough to want to buy one of these?
I didn't even know Street Fighters. Never heard of that. I guess we didn't have it, so it's like totally meaningless.
And I had you down as being a video gamer, Sophie. I thought that would be your youth. Having spent video gaming and stealing watches off of people at school.
Can't do it all. But, I had to choose my battles.
I'm waiting for this Soul Calibur special editions. That was my thing on the Dreamcast.
I don't know if they do a Sonic the Hedgehog one, but
I'm old.
That was my generation. But there we go. So they are pretty cool. I mean, they did that Brian May one recently. Did anybody? I know a couple of folk bought that special edition. Seiko 5. I don't know if anybody else was tempted. I was certainly tempted very briefly, but there we go. So that's the Seiko 5s for you. I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming around. Cole, in your travels, have you seen many of these kind of odd special editions that Seiko have produced?
Yeah, and I think one thing that's super interesting is that we don't cover a lot. Since it's in another language and so forth, all the JDM stuff I've seen, Thailand has a ton of editions that never make it out. And, all of, Washingtonista, Hodinkee, no one covers these things. So they're definitely out there. There's some weird stuff out there. Seiko also makes things for events in Japan. One thing that's cool, that a grail of mine is the King's watch, the Thai King's birthday watch, which we'll never see again, or the Yellow Monster, which was made back in the early 2000s. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. I think they're super, super cool. And someone should do a reference points type article of all of these weird limited edition Seikos that no one sees.
There you go, Philogis. This is your department. You're based over that way. You must see more of these than most.
Well, I'm not really into the Seiko world, but I do have a friend who has collected, I think, over 400 Seikos. I think he has like
Holy
four of
cow.
the yellow monsters that Cole was talking about. But he particularly specializes in Seiko models that are made in movements are made in Singapore. So he has collected all the vintage ones of them. Yeah, I'm actually looking to do a article and interview with him at some point, but it's a lot of work because he has like 300 pieces to go through.
Well, I mean, we don't pay for articles, but if you tap up Cole, maybe he'll get you.
Hey, Cole, does the Hodinkee Japan site cover any of the more regional stuff that doesn't make it to the US site?
They do. I mean, they're finding their feet still in that regard, but they certainly cover a lot of Japanese independents that we don't cover typically, like the Korono, I think they covered and we didn't. But yes, that does happen. But it's very much, it's the taste of those two editors over there. It's not standard, okay, let's cover Japanese only stuff. So you will see it sometimes, but not all the time. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, we are now going to try our first round of Hit, Miss, Maybe. So we have 4 watches. So first of all, let's see your signs that you've all made in art and craft class. Let's see your Hit, Miss, Maybes. Oh, Gigi's going high tech. Yeah, there we go. Some of you are still back to front. Oh, look at the colour again. Sam has put in special effort.
No, the cartridge ran out on the printer.
All right. And because Sophie left it to the last minute, I'm not going to tell her how to change her settings on her laptop so that it reverses the image.
It's wrong, Sophie.
It's back, but we're not going to tell you how to fix that. So, anyway, first up this week then is to be this. And yes, I did say that this was from Notice on this morning's podcast at least 3 times. Before I eventually corrected, because it's the Noble, so it should be the Notice Noble, not the Monta. It should be the Monta, something beginning with M. But there we go. So this is the Monta Noble. Somebody asked whether it should be the Nobel, but it's not. It's the Noble. I assume Nobel would be a copyright infringement of some description from the dear people in either Norway or Sweden. But there we go. So Monta, there are some Montas in the room. Who said that they were wearing a Monta?
Lolligus.
Yeah, it's mine.
There we go. So you're the expert. So take us away, Philogis. What do you think of this?
I think it's something that the fans of the brand have been asking for a while, because they really specialize in sports models that are more dressy, more elegant. the thickness are generally all under 10 for the Triumph, and even the divers are, I think, around 11.5, if I'm not wrong. So I think people have been calling for a dress watch from them, and this is as close as they've come with one. I think a lot of people like the Opaline dial on the Atlas, which is probably why they did one in this. But I think the blue one is something that is really different from the brand in terms of dial design, and it's very interesting. I like the way they played with the space. So the design language is very consistent with their more sporty models, but with the polished bezel and then the completely applied markers on the dial, it makes the whole thing a bit more elegant, a bit more classy. And it also justifies, I think, the price increase that they are looking to bring in sometime soon, because of all these little touches and little changes to the whole design. The one thing I was quite interested to notice was the fact that they are now using the calibers, their own Monta name calibers. I think you guys talked about it on the podcast as well. Previously, they were very open about the Solita 300 being used on the website. So it's just an interesting thing that has changed with this model.
Yeah, we commented on that this morning as to why they were suddenly calling this their own caliber on the same week that Watchfinder had also set out a wee reminder about Brement's or about Brement Gate. I think it's probably enough to call it a gate now. It's been long enough with their own stuff with own calibers as to why Monta decided to go. So what does everybody else think of this just now?
Yeah,
Impressed?
I like it.
I think it.
I think it's
Oh, no,
a great.
we're not taking votes yet. You're all peaked too soon. Peaking
It's a
too
hit.
soon. You think it's right? Okay, we'll let you vote. You're ruining this. It's going to be a big review. We're going to get everybody.
We don't know the rules.
Don't know the rules.
Come on, Rick, it's the
Follow
first
rules.
time.
Follow the rules. So, right, okay. My comments on this were, and I think Ricky had actually observed it, was this gap. The gap that seems to be showing on the bracelet as to whether it is actually a gap or it just happens to be the way that it naturally sits and that it's okay. I'm not
I
sure
think
that
that's a
would
cute.
pass
Is it a
codes.
gap or is it a
It's
polish?
polished, no?
It's polished.
It looks
not
like
bad.
just like a polished reflection.
Do we think? Well, obviously,
I
Ricky
think
knows
that's a
nothing.
bevel. That's a
I think it's a
bevel. It's
bevel,
like the
that's
Grand.
fine.
It's like a Grand Seiko case.
polished
They
bevel,
have
yeah.
that little. Yep. It's similar to a Grand Seiko I have.
Yeah, polished.
Bevels inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'll pass
Chamfering.
Cole's. Not sure it'll pass
Chamfered.
Cole's saltwater
Chamfered,
test.
Chamfer,
yes.
that's the word.
Yeah, there's no way Monta would make a gap like this. Like their finishing is so always spot on. This is actually probably like a design touch of having this really specific polish right there.
Is there another photo of it?
There are
You can
points.
see
Let's
the-
see if there's any.
And I think this
Yeah,
this
it looks like
chamfering
it's
there,
more polished.
the chamfering there might look really nice when you wear it on a strap,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? Gives some nice
Yeah.
reflection there.
And the only thing I
I-
wasn't entirely convinced about was the crown.
Oh, I like that.
The crown's a
Just
bit
thought-
funny.
Yeah.
The crown was a bit
Yeah.
odd.
Looks like a shaving brush.
What is this? What's
no,
the size?
That's exactly what they were going
what's-
for.
Exactly.
It's 38 and a half, I believe.
38.5.
39. That's.
I believe Ricky edited out this morning a further comment that we had a chat about what else would compete with this, and one of them ones was the Christopher Ward C65 as being a sort of slight equivalent for comparison purposes, whether we agree with that or not. So way we're going to do this properly now is you're all, so the good people at home are watching the Monta, you all hold up your signs at the same time, and then I do a reveal. You see?
Okay.
So hold up your signs,
Okay.
and then when I see you've all held them up, right, okay. So here we go, and then I reveal 1, 2, 3. It is a hit,
It's
I
a-
think. Yes,
Yeah.
it counts as
Sophie, it's a.
hit. It's a hit. There we go. That's a hit for Monta. I'm sure they'll sell absolutely stacks of these. It's
Yeah,
lovely
somebody
looking
better
watch.
tell Monta.
There's no doubt. But yeah, let Monta know they've got a hit in hand. Then we have next up, on a slightly different plane of existence, this from Greubel Forsey, the Balancier S. I mean, Does this look like a Greubel Forsey? Be my first question.
It's a very weird looking watch.
Yeah.
I
It really, it really plays with like your eye when you just look at it straight on. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it makes you really look like what is this?
I can't think of any other watches that have that kind of, that angle dipping down like that.
French architecture.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like a Salvador Dali watch.
Yeah.
Drunk. A
It
drunk
plays with your
Salvador.
brain.
Right.
It's got hidden depths like Ricky pretends he's got. I mean, I don't know. On the one hand, how can you not like it because of all the tech that's involved? It is a spectacular looking watch. There's no, I mean, look at that. There's no doubt that that's something very special. And
it's got the word perfection written on it right there.
There we go. So
there you go then.
There you go.
Maybe mark them down for boasting and being full of themselves.
That's cool.
What's the case thickness on it? Since they had to like do that angle in it, do you know?
Ooh,
variable.
I think it's about 15 if I'm not wrong.
15.
It is 15.6. So 43. So it varies from 13.75 to 15.6. It would appear. So
But not if you put it on a table, right? The curvature.
What makes it vary that much?
I think it's the case and the crystal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The case is 13, crystal's 15.
Makes sense.
So it's 30.
So it's 15.
No. With the crystal. With the crystal, it's 15.
So there we go. I mean, I suspect this wears phenomenally. I suspect this will wear like a Richard Mille in terms of comfort, despite the fact that it's 43 mil. So there we have it. That is something a bit special.
What's the price on it? Just to make us
there you
laugh.
go.
Can we just laugh a little?
195,000.
All right, you know what? For a Greubel,
That's
it's not
cheap.
bad.
That's cheap. But that's cheap for
For
a
a
Greubel
Greubel, it
Forsey.
is. Seriously.
I do think they might have done something a bit more on
Yeah.
the back. I mean, maybe it's just, I think they're probably just hiding a battery under here. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Did I see this right? That it's only 37 millimeters.
No, it's 43, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, diameter 45.
45. Sorry. Then.
Yeah, it's like 30.
The movement is 37. Oh, sorry. I watched. Looked at wrong. Wow, that's okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So there you go.
You know what?
Anyway, let's hold up our signs. Right, okay, let's do this again. Hold up your signs. Is it a hit, a miss, or maybe? Feel free to join in at home in the comment section. And this is maybe a hit. A few more maybes. A definitive miss, but probably on average a hit from Greubel Forsey. I suspect they'll sell
Oh, I think it's
all
a
that
maybe.
they make.
Maybe.
I think it's a maybe. A maybe.
Yeah, it was one
There we
more
go.
maybe.
Sophie's learning the technology as we go along. Now, this might be a bit more of a divisive one. I think just because people were surprised by some of the specs. This is the Accutron Space View. I'd be interested certainly in the chat on YouTube to know what folk think of this. What do you, the good people of Scottish Watches Live, think about this? Anyone own an original Accutron other than Ricky?
I have an old one.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works. I bought some new batteries, but I have to replace the battery every like 4 or 5 months if I want to continuously wear it. But
Does
it's
it
cool.
hum? Does it hum?
It does.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, if you hold it up. Yeah, it's good. I like it.
So this is the same but different from a brand that is now just called Accutron rather than Beluva, with a model called an Accutron. They appear to be spinning. This is its own standalone brand out separately. And this is electrostatic rather than battery powered. So it's effectively like the old Accutron, but with a fancy electrical automatic system attached to it, sort of. But it's powered basically by rubbing two very small balloons that are inside together to produce electricity, which is then stored in here and then makes the quartz crystal that they could just have powered using a battery move around.
Does it make your hair stand up then?
Yeah, it's a Van de Graaff generator.
Oh, the price does. The price will make your hair stand on end, if nothing else. Cole, have you been able to handle one of?
I haven't handled it. I haven't put it on, but I've seen one in the office a while back. Yeah. Yeah, and it is personally every bit as cool as it looks. Yeah, price, sure. It's for a very specific demographic, I guess, someone who is willing to do that. But the coolest thing about this watch is if you watch the action with the lights off, which I don't know if there's any media anywhere, but you will see the arcs and so forth.
Wow.
Oh, really? You can actually see it sparking, producing the electricity that's being stored in the action.
Cool.
I see. Now that's cool. That's worth $5,000 now, or how much?
Yeah.
That's it. All we needed to do was say that it was fitted with lightning bolts, aka Frankenstein's monster, and it was an immediate sell. So
yeah.
The cases are very different in that picture.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few different models.
I only like the special edition case. Like the regular edition was kind of like,
I believe the one on the left is the standard, and this is the special edition.
Yeah,
I think so.
Which I assume is only available on this rubber strap and is slightly smaller in terms of overall dimensions, I think, than this. But then obviously you can attach other stuff to it because it's got lugs.
Still pretty big though.
Yeah.
It's 45 mil.
Wow.
Overall.
Yeah, but don't you want something that looks that cool to be a little bit bigger?
I mean, that's why I wear Panerai, obviously. Because it just looks so cool.
When you fuel your car, can you wear the watch?
A good question.
That's a
sparks flying.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think that deserves a Scottish Watches Hodinkee collaboration. I will provide the car and the watch, and James Stacey can fill it with fuel, and I'll step back 20 or 30 meters and we'll see what happens.
I think it'll be fine. It's not. Nothing will happen. Then that just means we'll get a free car and a free watch. You know.
That's true, and we'll get to sue Belova for Stacey. So there we go. Yeah, it is a cool looking watch. It will be interesting to see how many of them of the standard models they actually sell and how quickly they come into general circulation. So let's have a vote. Get your cards and your placards ready. And our audience says it is a couple of misses, a hit. And I think probably averaging on the bone average.
Yes.
Yes, maybe.
Yes, maybe. It's a maybe. It's a maybe for everybody. So there we go.
There's a couple of hits in the YouTube chat, so that might push it over the edge.
All right, okay. I know we're ignoring them. They don't count. We just want their advertising revenue for rewatching this video. That's how we're interested. Anyway, so there we go. That's from Accutron. And then finally for this is my favorite watch of the week. I don't get a vote. So this is, and it maybe doesn't look that spectacular at first. This is this is from Watches by SGX, this review. This is the Ferdinand Berthoud. Now, it looks pretty kind of average and under the radar until you look a bit closer and you see that it has a Fusilian chain and a Remontoir d'égalité and all of this nice loveliness in the cool background. It is quite awesome. Spectacular. Does anybody understand? Unfortunately, we couldn't afford to get Jack on the show from Hodinkee, so I don't know if anybody actually understands here how a Fusilian chain works, or what on God's good earth a Remontoir d'égalité actually is. But would anybody in the room care? Sam, you work for a watchmaker. You must understand this.
Our clockmaker tried to explain Fusi me one day, and it's kind of it's the cone, isn't it? And as the power runs out, it gets towards the lower end of the cone, so it doesn't need as much power to go around.
It's basically like a Wankel engine, if anybody knows what that is, sort of.
Oh yeah, and Mazda.
A rotary gearbox. A rotary
I
engine.
think both of those
Gearbox.
components are just about like consistent torque, isn't that right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Through the life of the power.
Energy, right? With the consistent torque, I
Yeah.
think it also has the purpose of saving energy, so you can have a longer power reserve. Unless I'm
Was it-
mistaken, but that's what I think. Even the remontoir d'égalité
Okay.
does that.
Something that FP Jean plays about with as well. He has I
Yeah.
think more than one remontoir in his, and I think it's to do with because the spring is inefficient because it has a much stronger force at the beginning and a much weaker force at the end. So a watch will be more precise, and it's energy that you throw away at the beginning that you would need at the end. So there must be some kind of gearing inside, and what comes to mind is one of those variable transmissions you have in automobiles where one of the spindles become larger and one becomes smaller, so the force is equal, basically.
Yeah.
It's something like that. There's a conical, what you were saying, Sam, there's a sort of cone in there somewhere. A very small one, I suppose, because it's a watch. But that's what comes to mind. I'm not really sure about it, but looks cool.
It does.
Yeah, it's like one takeover for the other. So
Exactly.
But it
Sapphire on the side, right?
Yeah,
It
that's
does
very
have
nice.
one additional trick, which is this, which is it has a porthole. This is from Revolution. I don't know to what extent it will show well on the video, but it's got a wee window at the side, so as you can see your bicycle chain going round in circles.
Exactly, that is so cool.
Because frankly, if you're going to pay, let me just get back to
it's
what
cheap,
the
isn't it?
price
Like...
was. At half the price. I mean, it is awesome. If you're a watch geek and you happen to have a spare, let me just see how much spare money you would have. That was way, way down at the bottom of this article somewhere. Oh, good grief, they went to town on the photographs of this.
There you go.
Wow.
Where is
I
it?
need to
Where is
read
it?
that.
I just
It's an
need a price.
incredible
We just need a
watch.
price. All we care about is how much it costs us. There we go. 210,000 Swiss francs, and handily for Philogius, they've converted it into 307,000 Singapore dollars for you, Philo. So you can buy
Yeah, I'll
that.
just sell my mom's house for that.
I think you probably need to sell your mother, not just your mother's house. But,
Oh, you'd be surprised at how expensive houses are here, man.
So I mean, Ferdinand Berthoud are normally known for creating watches that have a lot of real estate on the dial. This is actually quite a traditional looking watch on the dial, but
To quote Robin, was it business at the front, party at the back?
yes, exactly. I'll let you say
True
that.
watch geek.
Absolutely. Cool.
I think it's interesting. Sorry, I think it's like interesting the size they made it of, because like I don't know if they're going for like a dress watch. I mean, I don't know what you guys like classify as a dress watch, like what size, but I think it's a little bigger for that.
Yeah, it's 44 mil, so it ain't wee. So this or the Accutron, maybe double wrist would be the solution.
It's like a wearable maritime chronometer.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I mean, it's what it's based on. Yeah.
They used to make really big wristwatches, and it had that design that was very, like you said, the marine chronometer. It was just very bulky. I didn't like the brand when it came out and at the beginning, because I just didn't like their design. I loved what was inside, and I loved the story and the reason why it came back to modern time. I think it's brilliant. But I never liked the design. This one, what I really think it has so much modernity to it, from the crown to the shape of the case to the lugs to the whole distribution. It's a very contemporary modern watch with an insane mechanics. I mean, I think this is really special. It's beautiful.
It's also enamel, like a multi-layer enamel dial, which I'm sure looks pretty cool in real life.
Yes, this is unusual in that it's an enamel dial, but it has 2 levels to it, if not more than 2. I don't know if there's a close-up shot of the dial, but having
Go
been to
through
like
all 60 pictures again.
yeah, having
Get one.
the Anor
Cool,
Dane's
cool.
place in Glasgow and seen the carnage that ensues of trying to make a single enamel dial, that's quite special. You can see it stepped down.
And it's so,
just there.
it's so interesting to have such simplicity on the dial, and then you turn it and it's like, what the hell? Like, how can you have such simplicity on the dial and yet you turn the watch and it's like this massive, complicated movement. It's incredible, and it's very legible too.
Yeah, it's got no loom though.
But it looks like the back of the second hand line up with the minute hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this little
Oh,
dot there.
quite
It's
nice.
cool.
Yeah, good touch.
And a personal bugbear of mine, which it has managed not to do, is it does actually use 4 for Roman numerals and not IV.
Oh.
Winner. So let's have a quick vote on this final watch of today's Hit, Miss, and Maybe. Get your cards ready. And we will see now. It is it a global hit? Oh, it's a maybe. It's because he's worried about selling his mother's house. Right. So it's a hit from everyone except Phil August, who doesn't want to have to live in the street. So
Price of 2.911. So
that's good stuff. So other things happening this week that are worthy of a chat is, I think this is hot off the press today. Others may know about it in advance, but certainly this was always on the cards. This is in Watch Pro. The eBay are now saying that they'll authenticate in the States every watch sold over $2,000.
good luck.
What do
How are
we
they going
think
to do
that
that?
will do?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I read the article. So the way that they're planning to have it work is once you buy a watch from somebody, then it gets shipped to eBay's like third-party verification facility. Then they do their verification. They give you a special tag, and then they 2-day ship it onto you, and allegedly with no additional charge.
Right. So
That's fishy.
Is that eBay is now taking responsibility for the authenticity of the products, because there's been so many issues with eBay with counterfeit and fake, that they have decided to bring in an entirely new team. In fact, there is a new CEO of the company. They brought in a new person to head the whole luxury watches and jewelry department, and they are subcontracting one company for now, but probably a second one to handle all the authenticity. eBay will pay for this. It's going to be part of probably a deal they have with the vendors. But the crazy thing is that they have already warned all the vendors that if they send them a fake watch, they will confiscate it and they will notify the authorities.
Wow.
So what's going to happen is that all those fakos are going to kind of think twice about sending alleged fake watches to their buyers, because now it's going to go through eBay, that is going to go through an entire verification process, and eBay is now responsible. So they're not going to want to miss on that one.
So can I use eBay to buy the Bonham Seiko that I want?
Yeah.
So on that note though, Sophie, so obviously throughout history, there have been thousands of watch manufacturers, each requiring individual tools specific to that brand. Additionally, when you take the case back off some of those gaskets are going to disintegrate or they'll be gook. So are they going to replace those the gaskets now?
Yeah,
Like,
so
how does
what's
that
going to happen? So what's going to happen is that they're going to have authentication processes that are going to be different from the vintage watches to the modern watches. And they're going to have some vintage experts that are going to be part of their team. Also, they're going to be outsourced. And they're going to hire some watchmakers that do have access to some of those parts. So whenever the watch is going to be opened, the choice is going to be given to either the buyer or to eBay. Do you want us to restore the watch? Because that can be
for
done.
free.
Oh, okay. That's going to be eBay's responsibility,
Okay.
right? eBay is going to be responsible for this. But they're going to have the option by the watchmaker. Okay, this watch you're sending me, if I touch it, like you said, it will disintegrate. Do you want me to move forward and restore it? Or do you want me to just authenticate it based on what I can see without really going too much into it. And eBay is going to really have that conversation with those service centers. And I know who they're hiring. So because I've been kind of part of that process a little bit since the new guy.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, because the guy that took over the department was the CEO of TrueFacet. So he was the founder of TrueFacet. And after TrueFacet, he went into something else and then moved on to eBay to manage the department. So I was kind of helping a little bit to source the right people.
Yes.
And so I know how it's going to work.
Cool.
But
as long as there's no Australians called Chris working for them, then that's absolutely
So
I think
how
it's a
long is
good
it going to
idea,
take
especially-
if you? Oh, sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, it's
Sam.
okay. Oh, I think it's a good idea, especially in the age of COVID, since a lot of people, there's still people that, like in the US, that can't leave their house and still want to watch. I mean, I bought my tutor in the midst of quarantine and obviously couldn't leave my house, and I had to really do my research of like where I should get it. I don't want to get, like, this was one of my favorite watches that I've really wanted for a long time, but I just didn't want to get a fake. So this is a really good way of making sure that you're getting what you want.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
if they can pull it off in a way that
a lot of money into this new concept.
Yeah.
So the funding is there. I said eBay is investing a lot of money in order to make this happen. So we don't have that situation that, like you're mentioning, Sam, because I'm not buying from eBay. I would not buy from eBay as it is today, unless I know the vendor personally, and then I would just go directly through him. But I would just not trust eBay at this point. Now it's
no one thinks that this will ruin the magic. Like, I go to eBay to find the cool stuff that people A, think are fake because they don't want to take a risk, or B, because the pictures are blurry. Like, will this ruin the magic of eBay? I think it may, actually.
You're a watch nerd.
but that magic still exists for everything under $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, which is true.
Yes.
so long as you're cheap, you can still get ripped off.
Yeah, so I can sell them the watch to myself, right?
Oh yeah, get it for
And then
yourself.
I got it certified, so I know if my Panerai is real.
Yes, we will deal. There is some Panerai chat to be had, but there's going to be hopefully an entire podcast episode where we'll be getting. We have some guests coming on that will hopefully be able to speak into what's been happening at Panerai and on their Instagram channel and other places in the last few days where they appear to make Panerais.
Rick, we're losing you.
We
Yeah.
lost your Rick.
I didn't hear you. You faded out.
Okay. We lost the boss.
Oh, I'm disappearing. My internet connection.
You're back. You're back.
I'm back. I'm getting a warning saying I am unstable. So.
Oh, we knew that.
Nothing new
That
to
doesn't sound
anybody,
nice.
I suspect.
Tell us something new.
So we will leave it. We'll begin to draw to a close. I did get a message from, and as far as I'm aware, this auction is still happening, but it's on short notice. And this is a Zenith private collection. So from bukauskis.com, I was sent this. So if you're particularly interested in Zenith watches, I don't know whether you can buy these and send them to yourself via eBay to assist in the process, but there's some pretty cool.
It's in Sweden.
Yes, it's a Swedish auction.
Okay.
There's some pretty cool vintage Seikos here. And then just because he's not here, Ricky got a new job this week, and he is now brand ambassador. So
is this the before or after picture?
That's we'll let him be the judge of that. Anyway, thank you all very much. Anybody got anything they particularly want to leave us with, a thought for the week, or anything they're particularly looking forward to? Hands up. Nope. Cole, what have you got coming up in the next week? Any particular articles to look out for or projects you're working on?
Me, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, a few. The Seiko finally. So the same treatment as the Marathon. The idea with the Seiko is in America, we're so hung up on the Willard, and that's kind of a myopic approach. I think it's better to look at this watch in terms of what it's done in terms of the Antarctic expedition. The Willard, the 6105 is much more than the Willard. So that's kind of the frame of reference that I'm going into writing this with. So it gets into cultural relativism in our world, in the watch world, and reframes the Willard into something that's just an awesome watch. So that's the next thing I'm working on.
Good. And anybody else got anything exciting happening?
I have this guy came from eBay. Yeah. It's a 40-year-old watch that my dad used to wear. It's a Dugena, a digital watch from Germany. And it had a super cool feature, and it took me 3 years to find one on eBay. You can tell it after 1 month of how many seconds it went fast or slow, and then it will adjust.
Right, it tells it itself, or you have to tell it?
No, you have to tell it how fast it went after 1 month of wearing it, how many seconds fast it was, and then it will adjust the next month then automatically to that.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
as opposed to just that at the end of each month you adjust your watch,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't run as fast the next month. Right, okay.
no, you just set it again every month.
Oh, so it's not understanding. I can do that in my watch. No, right, okay, I understand.
Yeah. So my dad wore this watch, and I remember it being so big, and it's so tiny. Childhood memories, they're always different.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, anybody else got something they want to tell us for the week ahead? Or are we all good to go? Nope, everybody's quiet, so that's good. We're all quiet for the week. Thank you all very much for joining us, both you all in person, so to speak, and everybody in the chat. That was much appreciated. We will see everybody again next week. So as we say on the show, so we say here, it's goodbye from me, and I also have to say that a bit, and it's goodbye from them. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.